and Ammar Khan. Mr. Khan.
Yeah. Would you agree that some people would use the conspiracy theories in order to channel their grief, or they find the official descriptions unsatisfactory because there was no satisfactory descriptions of 9/11 by the government?
Okay.
Yes.
Nick Pope, it's the same, I suppose, as the loss of a bright young president like Kennedy, or a beautiful young princess like Princess of Wales, Diana, Princess of Wales. You can't cope with the grief. You can't believe this has happened. It has to be the work of aliens or some secret service.
Yeah, there is a natural human desire to find a scapegoat, to blame someone, to lash out in anger, to think there must be more to this than just, you know, a terrorist attack, flying planes into buildings. But actually, you know, 9 times out of 10, with most things in life, the simplest explanation is the answer. Terrorists flew aeroplanes into buildings.
Wendy Grossman.
Yes, the principle Nick is talking about is known as Occam's razor, which is that the simplest explanation is most likely.
And that's it for you.
That's what conspiracy theorists say, of course, because they've always got simple explanations.
Well, the problem...
You're promoting the official conspiracy theory, so of course you want to make it the simplest possible theory.
This is the odd thing.
I'm saying things are complicated. I'm saying that it's murky, it's complicated as life is, and that the CIA didn't know nothing about it. They knew a bit about it.
But most things that become conspiracy theories, things like the death of Elvis or the death of Princess Diana, or JFK's assassination, Marilyn Monroe's death. These are all things, you know, deaths of huge icons in our minds. And people seem to want them to have grandiose explanations. But in this case, the reason I was so startled to discover that there were these conspiracy theories, it already was a conspiracy.
Yeah.
You know,
the conspiracy theorists are on the other side in this case.
The other thing is...
They're backing the official story.
The other thing is, it is very clear to me that Bush is not the #1 suspect. If you're going to say that Al-Qaeda is not sufficient in and of itself, I lived in New York City when the World Trade Center was built, and it is very clear that the first suspect on the list has to be the people who own the Empire State Building.
And, of course, we're only joking. That's not really true, I hope. OK, is it all closure? Or an attempt at closure, these theories?
I'm sure that some of these theories do attract people for those reasons, but I am not, by nature, a conspiracy theorist. I was trained to be an intelligence analyst in MI5, which is the UK equivalent of the FBI, and that means pulling together an array of different bits of information, intelligence, evidence, in order to put it in front of a court of law, to put people on trial, to put terrorists on trial. So I have looked at a whole range of evidence coming out about 9/11, and my view is that there are too many disputes, that some of the official accounts do not stand up in the face of this evidence.
Right.
So I would say that that's why we need a new inquiry.
OK. In a second, I'm going to ask the audience to raise their hands if they've been persuaded in other ways. So we'll have to put a camera on you in a moment or two, because we're going to ask you whether you now think that there is some form of conspiracy. Remember, when we did this just prior to the taping of this programme, it was around 45%. We'll see how that's changed in a second. One question, though, I think at the front of the hall. Gentleman in a red top.
Yes, given that the FBI, when asked why Osama bin Laden wasn't on their website as being wanted for 9/11,
right,
responded that they had no
And you're going to hate me for this, sir, but the question is too long because we can't get there and I want to do the vote. But you have your opportunity now, along with the rest of the audience, because before we started this debate, we asked you whether you thought there was some form of conspiracy theory. The panel agreed it was around 45%. I wonder if I could ask you now, raise your hands if you've changed your mind. Was there, or indeed if you still believe, there was some form of conspiracy theory? Raise your hands now, please. And I have to say that these two seem to have done a fantastic job. We must agree that's somewhere in the region to 80 to 85%. A quick response from you, Nick Pope?
Well, I would say to people, read the Commission report with an open mind, and you'll see that most of the conspiracy theories simply don't stand up.
Wendy Grossman?
I'd like to just see the hands of people who've changed their minds.
OK, if we had time, we'd do that. Annie Machin?
I would say, as an intro to this subject, have a look at some books by Professor David Ray Griffin. He reposts that report, and he's written a startlingly good new one called Debunking the Debunkers. It's worth a read. All the evidence is there, as well as this one.
And Ian Henschel in a sentence.
I'd say we want an inquiry. You know, so long as they refuse a proper investigation, proper criminal investigation into this, they've got something to hide.
And that's it, I'm afraid. Hiding or not, that's all we've got time for. If you want to join the debate or suggest another topic for us to discuss, please contact our email address, forum@presstv.co.uk. That's forum@presstv.co.uk. So from me, Nick Ferrari, goodbye until next time.